I'm a little late, but I'm finally doing the mid-year book freakout tag for 2023. Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and I am finally filming my mid-year book freakout tag for 2023. I try to do this every year. Everybody does it every year. I just hadn't had time to sit down and do it, but I am excited because I love this tag every year. I love watching everybody's and I love doing it. So we're not going to take up a lot of time here. We're just going to jump into it. The first question is the best book you've read so far in 2023. And oh my God, I've actually not read a whole ton of books. I've been like behind on my reading, but the ones I have read mostly have been really good. And I want to say probably my favorite of the year so far is Seeds of War by João F. Silva. This is a self-published fantasy book and it is so good. We have a mother main character who is such a badass. We're also following kind of an anti-hero villain and an old retiring mercenary who just wants to retire like to the beach somewhere but has to do one final job. And there's a really unique magic system in this book, and honestly, I absolutely love it. And especially at the end, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next book in this series. I have an entire review on this. I don't know if it'll be up before this. If it is, I'll link it. And if it's up after, I'll come back and link it. But y'all, read this book. The next one is the best sequel that you have read this year. And I've been trying to read more sequels this year. I want to say probably my favorite one that I've read was the last two books in the Infernal Devices. I absolutely loved those and they got me out of a reading slump. So Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess, I finished that series and it's not my norm. It's a very like dramatic YA fantasy, but I loved it so much and like fell in love with Jim. Absolutely fell in love with Jim. So I want to have to say that those are probably the best sequels that I've read because of the fact that they really pulled me out of my reading slump, and I read them with friends and it was just a good time all around. So yeah, they're probably the best sequels I've read this year so far. Okay, the next one is an anticipated release that you haven't read yet but want to. And again, there's a lot. I'm gonna say that one of them is The Malevolent Seven by Sebastian de Castell. I actually just picked that up and I am so excited to get to it. It sounds super cool. It's like these mages, but they're not the good guys and they're trying to take down the good guys, but the good guys might not really be good guys and the bad guys might not really be fully bad guys. Like, I am here for that kind of book. So it seems like it's also going to have a lot of humor. If you read the synopsis, it's written in like a very like dark humorous way. And I am down for that. So that's one that I'm definitely going to be picking up sooner rather than later. The next one is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Of course, Secret Project 4, but we're not even going to go into that because I feel like it's a huge one that everyone's excited for. But I wanted to talk about The Ashfire King, which I believe is coming out in November, October. And it's a sequel to The Stardust Thief. And I loved The Stardust Thief. And especially after the end of it, I really want to know what happens. So I'm very, very excited to get The Ashfire King. I keep looking for like any, you know, hints of when it comes out. And I finally found it out and I'm here for it, right? It's a Jen story and it's just so good. I absolutely loved it. If you've read Stardust Thief, let me know what you thought on it, but I'm very excited for the second book in that series. Oh, biggest disappointment. So it's not the book that I liked the least, but the Frugal Wizard's Hand Guide to Surviving Medieval England did not live up to Tress. And then I read Yumi and it didn't live up to that either. So it was kind of like, it was fun. It was good. It was a 3-star read, but it didn't live up to my personal hype. And I think a lot of people's hype. So I want to say that one might be the most disappointing just because it didn't live up to like that Sanderson expectation that I had, if that makes sense. I still enjoyed it, but it didn't fully live up to what I wanted it to be. The next is biggest surprise. And I'm going to go with one that I just reviewed recently, and that is Advent 9. It is a self-published, like, superhero sci-fi fantasy-esque book. And I went in with, like, no expectations. And I actually ended up reading Goodreads reviews for it, like, halfway through reading it. And the Goodreads reviews were, like, terrible. And because of that, I kind of reached out to the author and I was like, hey, I just want your feedback on this. I'm liking the book, but there's some Goodreads reviews out there that really call into question certain aspects of the book. We had a great conversation. It made everything make sense. And it made me look at those Goodreads reviews in a different light. So I ended up surprisingly absolutely loving Advent 9. So always take the reviews with a grain of salt. That's kind of what I've learned from that. Always take the reviews with a grain of salt. If it's a self-published author, reach out to him and be like, hey, I just was wondering if you can clarify this for me. And because that really worked for me, so I see nothing wrong with it. Obviously, don't approach them in a mean way, in a hateful way. I approached it in a way where we had already been talking. He had sent me the book, so I, again, had that conversation already built in. I had a relationship already started with him where I felt like I could reach out and be like, hey, I'm seeing these things. What are your thoughts? Is there something that I can include in my reviews? Like, this whole thing. If you want to check out the full review on it, you can check that out. I do have that done and published, but yeah, that was a big surprise. I really loved Advent 9. All right, the next one is favorite new author, new or new to you. And I'm going to go with João F. Silva. He wrote Seeds of War. I already talked about Seeds of War. I have a full review for Seeds of War coming. His writing is fantastic. His world building is fantastic. And I can't say enough good things. This might be a favorite of the year. Newest fictional crush? I can't say I have one. Like, I'm not really one for, like, fictional crushes. Like, I've mentioned in the past, like, I have characters that I absolutely adore. Like, I will say, maybe Painter from Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I absolutely loved him and just everything about him. So, I don't know if I would consider it, like, a fictional crush. But, like, I loved his character and I loved, you know, Sanderson's take on a romance story, which is not something we get very often. So I enjoyed that. Next is your newest favorite character, and we're going to go with Gimlor, again from Seeds of War. I think this is just a Seeds of War video because, oh, it was so good. But Gimlor is a, you know, not quite middle-aged mom of twins who's a war veteran, and so she's hardened, but she does have kind of these like little soft spots, and she's definitely a badass, and like she's a very multi-dimensional mother character in a dark epic fantasy world, and that's all I have to say about her. Next is a book that made you cry. I just finished reading Blood Over Brighthaven, The Ark, last night, and M.L. Wang done did it again. I was like, this one's going to be different than Sword of Kaigen, right? It's completely different from Sword of Kaigen. But this lady still made me cry, okay? So I have realized maybe I just can't read an M.L. Wang book without crying. But Blood Over Brighthaven, literally last night, just made me cry. I finished it in 2 days. And I will be doing a full review. And then a book that made you happy. So many. Probably both of the Secret Project books that I loved. So like Tress was just fun. I want to say Tress made me the happiest because it was just fun and whimsical and just silly. And I love that Hoyt is the narrator and that he's goofy in it and all this self-interjection. And it just made me smile so much. So I really, really liked that one. So I think that was the one that made me probably smile the most. The next one is the most beautiful book you've bought so far. And I know we just talked about it, but the Dragonsteel edition of Chess. Now, I didn't back the Kickstarter, so I did buy this separate. And I think it's still available. But y'all, it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. Like, it's just beautiful, right? I think the only thing I wished is that it had sprayed edges, because I'm a sucker. But, like, it is gorgeous. And the art that's inside of it, the fall color, like, absolutely stunning. I will be purchasing Yumi and the Nightmare Painter as soon as it's available for general public, and that's once all of the backers have already gotten theirs. And the next one is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And oh my god, it's so many. I have a backlog of NetGalley arcs that I'm trying to get to. I have a bunch of self-published books that I'm really trying to prioritize that authors have sent me that I have absolutely been loving, by the way. I've been reading a lot of self-published books this year and really, really enjoying doing that and being in there. So I have like, you know, a bunch of those and then a bunch of NetGalley arcs. But I'm also going to be rereading all of the Darker Shade of Magic books with a read-along with Elliot Brooks and a bunch of other booktubers. So I'm really excited about that. So that's one that I need to read, obviously, because I'm committing to rereading the series and doing live shows and sprints and things like that. So I'm excited because I absolutely love Darker Shade of Magic. But there are so many books I want to read this by the end of the year because I spent the first like half of the year in a reading slump. Like I have not read nearly close to my norm, and that's okay because it happens, right? I've been busy. I've been working. I have kids. I have schools for the kids and stuff and construction that's finally done. So yeah, we're back in the groove and there are so many books that I want to read by the end of the year. All right, well, that is my mid-year book freakout tag. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And if you've done it, I want to see it because I absolutely love this tag. So let me know. All right, thank you guys for hanging out. I'm Jessie. I'll see you next time. Bye.